Hi everybody, I'm Karel Butz and I am going to give you some practice strategies for the Blumenstengel Etude number 1 in F. Right away, a couple things that region audition committee people are listening for, and I say this as a former junior high orchestra director who has judged several region auditions, is the very first thing that we're going to hear is tone quality. So you can play as fast as you want, you can play in as tune as you want, but the most important thing is how do you sound. So make sure that when you practice that you take everything slowly, carefully, methodically, so you're focusing on tone, pitch, rhythm, but also don't forget the musicality. So remember to do the dynamics, remember to follow the phrasing, because you want yourself to stand out in a great way. You want to distinguish yourself from the hundreds of other violinists who are auditioning, and you want to do your very best. So this etude has a lot of 16th notes. The very first thing I would recommend is remove the slurs. Just practice stroke for stroke, go slowly. You can practice with the drone on. I like to use tonal energy. This etudes in F major, so for example, you could set the drone on F, have it sustained while you're playing. Stroke for stroke slowly would look like something like this. And then this etude works a lot of extensions, so extension fourth fingers. So the main thing is to think about the wrist being elastic like a rubber band. So rather than going back like this, you want to bring the wrist in just slightly so you can really get that fourth finger. So bring the wrist in just slightly like a rubber band so it's elastic. Don't keep it in place, otherwise it's going to be more difficult to get that fourth finger extension in tune. So just think about that concept. After you're taking things slowly, also think about where you're going to benefit from practicing things double stops. So for example, in measure 5, where you have open E to D flat, on these diminished chords, you could try them as double stops. You could try the E natural to D flat and tune it as a double stop. And then throughout, make sure that you're also, when you're practicing note for note, very slowly. Let's take a look like at measure 9. You have a lot of cases where you're shifting down. So it's important to block the hand rather than doing one finger at a time and just kind of guessing. I would isolate your landing spots. So make sure you know that you're in 6th or 5th position with the second finger D. Make sure that F is in tune. Practice shifting down to first finger D. Practice slowly shifting back to first finger B natural. And then you can take 2 notes. And then finally, you can get stuck on each shift to make sure that it's in tune, and you can tune it using the open D. And then here's another case where you can check to see that the D to G sharp, a tritone, you can play them as double stops just to make sure that your intonation is accurate. After you take note for note, I would try doing Morse code rhythms. So the first pattern can be long, short. Then you can do short, long. You can do long, short, 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 short. Then you can do short, 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 long. And then you can put the metronome on and increase the speed that way. And then finally, you can play Morse code with the slurs. So you could do practicing that with the slurs, and then go back to playing as printed with the slurs. And and then increasing the tempo. I would recommend having the eighth note subdivision on, just so you're not rushing. And those are pretty much the practice strategies I would recommend with this etude: going slowly, double stops, Morse code rhythms, building finger dexterity, bringing the wrist in for the extensions. You do not want to change the fingerings that are provided. The whole purpose of this etude is to check to see that you're following the fingerings. So there are, of course you could play stuff in different positions, but you do need to do the fingerings that are printed. Otherwise, you're completely destroying the whole purpose of doing this etude. That's to work on the different intervals, the tritones, blocking the hand in different positions, and then also to work on the extension fourth fingers.